Hello, I'm Joanne Law, Director of Mediation Institute, and this session is one that we ran for Mediation Institute members looking at the new AI tools that we've developed for mediators in Australia. Hello and welcome. We're talking about AI and in particular the new AI coaches that Mediation Institute's been working on and setting up. So what's your experience with AI? Are you using it?
Yeah, haven't been using it a great deal. I've seen a few horror stories from people using it and them
Yep.
bringing them undone. So I've been very, very cautious. I have used it.
Yeah,
Just the free ChatGPT I've used a few times.
absolutely. Definitely traps to be careful of
Mm.
because they call it hallucinates, but it basically very convincingly lies and makes things up. I think hallucinating is a polite way of putting it.
So
Yeah.
I have used it, but I haven't been impressed by it so far.
We've been experimenting a fair bit with it, and there's some strategies that make it more helpful. So we'll share a little bit about that. And my husband's been actually using it quite a fair bit with his legal practice and found it quite helpful. I have as well in some aspects, but there's definitely some things to be careful of. What about you, Lynn? What's your experience been?
I am actually using ChatGPT, get the better expression, so to speak.
Put your draft in and say, hey, fix that for me.
Yes, that's working so far. Good.
Absolutely. Might just insert a few tips here for working with AI. Remember, accuracy is not guaranteed. It can generate, with extreme confidence, incorrect or outdated information. You should always ask for and cross-check the references. Check the facts, go to the links. It can create fake links as well, and check. So use it as a researcher. Don't use it to replace yourself. It's a tool, not a replacement for your professional judgment. And remember, it has biases as well, lacks cultural context, and can make those sorts of mistakes as well. And remember, your confidentiality obligations to your clients still apply. Protect their information when you're working with AI. Don't put in your real client data. We've set up a page on the website, MIAI, which gives a little bit of guidance around what we've created with these tools. So there's two different coaches because there's quite distinct background and requirements for mediators, whether you're working under the Australian Mediator and Dispute Resolution Accreditation Standards or working as an FDR practitioner under the regulations of the Family Law Act and FDR regulations. You can sign up for free to ChatGPT. For those that are interested, this is what GPT means. It means generative, so that it creates the text or other content, doesn't just retrieve it from somewhere. It's pre-trained, so they've been trained already with a huge amount of data. And then when someone like Mediation Institute creates their own GTPs on top of that base, we add specific content that we try to get it to work with rather than the pre-trained information only. And the transformer element is that it uses the information it has to understand the context and relationship between words and generate the output. A transformer concept's a little bit tricky, so read this to understand a little bit more about it. You just pause the screen. So with what we've got, a little how-to guide with some guidance. One of the things to be aware of, though we've been teaching, training this GTP, we don't have access to what you're doing. So if you put in information, it's not available for us to see. You should tell it who you are, tell it what you want it to be. If you're a student, you can put in that you're a student, you want to do a role play. If you're a mediator, you can use it to kind of mentor, debrief, audit, help with your thoughts, reflective practice or journaling. You can use this tool for other aspects. If you get complex information about a case or scenario, you could put that in. Are we in the right GTP? For example, if you're thinking about, am I drafting my agreements as well as I could, you could paste in that and get some critique. Okay, I'll show you how to add a document. So just click on that little plus sign and it'll help you choose where you take the document from and upload it. As I was sharing, we've got a page set up on the website for AI, and it goes through to the 2 coaches we've trained, and they'll go to a page for each of them. It basically gives you some prompts and ideas. So I've just clicked on preset prompt sort of thing, which is looking at reflective framework. So if you've done a mediation and you're wanting to think about how it went, maybe something you could have done differently. And if you let the AI know whether you're a student or a member. So often when you ask a question, it'll give you this big dump and you're thinking, oh my goodness. See, with AI, it's like working with a really willing assistant. So you might say something, can you give that to me one question at a time? Because that's just too much information. So I want to debrief. What was the process you went through? What part of the mediation are you reflecting on? Is there any use case or thinking how you think might be able to assist you in your practice? I don't know what's possible.
So basically, if you say you want reflective framework, you give the scenario and it will actually tells us.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some ways you can assist an AMDRAS mediator with your practice? So here are some ways: guided reflective practice, coaching if you're a student's preparation for training. You can also use it to record your CPD. We do have another tool in the members area when you log in, but you might want to use it for keeping track. Let's say I had a mediation where one of the parties accused me of being biased. How can you help me to reflect on this? Let's see, I don't know. So you see how it's pulling up the domains from AMDRAS. So we're all fairly new to the new standards. So it's kind of helpful for us to reflect on. So you see how it's guiding me through this. So what stage were you accused of the bias occurring? Where would the bias have come from? Throw me something out.
Maybe in the private meeting.
Yeah. So why was it called? We had some options on the table. I wanted to review them with the parties, as I thought one was being too accommodating. Bit of a judgment. And, obviously I'm making it up, so I'm not sure what it is. Are they sure they want to agree to that? So you see what I mean? It's really helping us dig down, think about some of the elements and why it stood out for you, let's just say. So as you can see, I've put a simple reflective practice model into the things. What should I do? It's trying to guide me to think a little bit about, am I leaning towards outcome instead of facilitating process? And I can ask for help to do some alternative. And then it's bringing a bit of mediation theory in. So, what I could have said instead of, are you sure you want to agree to that, is how does that option sit with you right now? What makes this workable or not from your point of view? Would you like to talk through how that might look in practice? So does that kind of give you an idea how you might debrief and think about, well, was there a better way for me to have done that? It's not years of practice, it's whether we're learning from our practice that makes a difference. So that's one of the ways you can use these tools. Is there anything else that you can think of? We'll have a look at the FDR one in a minute. What do you think about that? Is that the sort of thing you expect an AI to be able to come up with?
Oh, hi, Joanne. I've been using ChatGPT for general stuff and also Perplexity. which I find is excellent because it doesn't look at the whole internet, it's more specific. I found that we just have to be brave enough to ask it questions,
Yeah.
and we can ask simple questions, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other,
Yeah.
just sort of chiseling down into clarifying what you want. I've found it quite amazing. It's terrific to see that you guys have done what you're doing here, particularly when we've passed our little exams and now we're going into the real world, and we've got something that we can go back to and ask
Yeah.
questions to all the time. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. I find that we still have to be human beings and think for ourselves.
Yes. Very
In
much
other
so.
words, proofreading everything, actually.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that I think it's a terrific advancement, and I've been wondering if it would happen. It's terrific.
Yeah, oh, thanks, Paul. And you're absolutely right. Don't accept anything, but you can challenge the AI. If you think, oh, I don't think that's right, you can ask for its evidence base, or you can just tell it you're wrong. This, and it'll review and correct. So again, you've got that risk of it hallucinating. So we've tailored these to Australian context, and we're looking at whether we put in additional legislation and other specific contexts. So I've done elder mediation training. There's a lot of change and complexity in there. I'm thinking about whether I make myself a little elder mediation tool and share that out with others. That's a really important role. Starting out as a new mediator, so you need to think about in my marketing. So, what are some ethical traps I need to think about in my marketing? That's a pretty broad general question. I've no idea what it's going to come back with.
That's a good question, actually.
Yeah. Oh, so it thinks so too. And if you're needing a little bit of love, a bit of validation, it's also a really good thing. But if you put in really bad stuff, it will very politely tell you that, no, that's not a good way to approach it. Why don't you try this? So let's unpack. So ethical practice, legal awareness, it's got en masse practice standards. So we definitely don't want that. It's picking up. So that's the sort of thing that we'd appreciate feedback. So I've got a way of going into edit and tell it en masse is gone. We're not going to have en masse anymore. Misrepresenting your role or accreditation. I suppose the big issues are we have obligations around confidentiality. With any practice, we shouldn't be sharing confidential client information. If you're going to supervision, there's no reason to share who the client is or identifying details. It's better to anonymize. Honestly, with the way Copilot's there if you're using Microsoft products, I'm not sure how that works these days. I think there's a risk that it's out and free, but just take the normal caution that we would with any other. As far as we're aware, anything you put into the AI tool isn't visible to us or anyone else. If you want to use them for another purpose, you just tell the AI, put it into a Word document or thing. So you can look at OpenAI's privacy policy and get info. So this is the sort of things you can basically interrogate the AI about itself and it can give you information as well. We might just have a look at the FDR coach as well. It's got little examples and different things. We've put in some reflection tools and so on. If you're in WA or your clients are in WA, make sure you tell the coach, because there's not a lot of differences, but there are some differences for the different states. Any other thoughts or comments, use cases? Again, we've preloaded little prompts here for how to reflect on my last session, role play.
Joanne?
Yeah.
This might be a very naive question.
No, it's not.
If we do an intake session, we get 2 lots of stories. We can use this, can we, to go in and take the names of the parties out, etc., and put those scenarios from both parties in and ask it, how should we deal? Might be a bit generalising. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where are the conflicts? You could definitely do that.
And, what may be subject to what happens in the process what may be a good agenda and that sort of thing.
So you can pre-think about that.
Fantastic.
So there's some role plays in here, but you could definitely just take out the client information and feed in your intake form.
Yes.
But, we'll use one of the scenarios here because I haven't got a denatured real one. So here's the summary. Family-oriented who hosts cultural weekend gatherings and wants to replace the shared fence. Neighbour B, a shift worker who needs rest during the day and wants quiet and low costs.
Wow. Fabulous.
Pretty classic things. Impact and thinking about. It's kind of a way for you to, it's almost like having a colleague that you can talk through things with.
I think it's great.
Yeah. And down here we've got, so you might think, how am I going to describe them in neutral ways? About a more flexible professional coaching approach while still saying. So it's acknowledging that we're not just focusing in towards passing an assessment, we're looking at how we're working. I'll open as the mediator. What role would I like to take? So you can choose whether you want the AI to be the mediator or you want it to be the role player.
That's fantastic. Excellent.
Some students have got it working so that you can dictate using voice mode. So that's an option if you prefer that to typing. But it's really only limited by your imagination of what you can actually do with it. Okay, so I just asked it a question about a Section 60I certificate. So it's giving me general legal background. The parties B says they want to wait 4 weeks. There it is. So it's just really like we're not putting our professional judgment on this, but it might be a way to bring up other options or just think it through. This is a question that a member rang up and asked me about recently. You're balancing timeliness, is it appropriate, but you're also balancing, well, there's a further and better particulars stage in the intervention order, so it wasn't inappropriate to wait till that had occurred. So look at your obligations, consider the impact of that. So it's quite cluey, and we've done everything we can to make sure it's Australian law that it's referring to, and it seems to be pretty reliable. This was my advice to her. Contact Party A, and that was the outcome, that Party A's agreed that they'll wait till that occurs. Getting a Section 60I certificate is not going to speed up the progress of getting access to the child, and then it's giving you some recommendations, and it's very helpful. So it'll come up with, do you want a sample file note? So this could be really useful if you're, particularly in FDR, let's say you've got to make a mandatory report and you're thinking through the process and you're thinking about your file note and you're wanting to make sure that your language is neutral and careful in that. So what do you think? Any other kind of use cases or thoughts?
Oh, look, as I said before, I think it's fantastic, and I think that really the only way that we can get on top of it is to go and use it.
Absolutely, yes.
Go and use it.
Go and use it. If you're finding major issues, let us know, because we can go in, as I showed, and update it. If I put in what is en masse, see what it's taken from what I told it before. Oh, no, it still hasn't picked it up. So I'm going to have to do some more work in the programming, but so I'm just telling it off now. En masse is obsolete. It was replaced by NRES. Why are you not telling me that? If it comes up with stuff that's not right, correct it. And it will usually see how it's gone on the web, and it's picking up, no doubt. It's not just a limited database that we've got. It will go onto the web as well. But what we've tried to do is give it instructions to know that you should be prioritising this information. And that's the problem with any AI that you find, because it's not really thinking, it's just sourcing and predicting. I've had it explained to me a number of times how it works, but I still don't really understand it. So I'm not going to attempt to explain it because I don't understand it well enough. But it basically, it'll find information that is out of date or if the scope is too wide from different jurisdictions. So that's some of the reasons you get wrong information.
How do you mitigate that? Because if you know, then you can ask further questions. But
yeah, if you don't know, and what I would suggest is ask it, what's the reference? Can you specifically refer me? So particularly if you're working, let's say you're working in workplace mediation and you want to know what the rules are around unfair dismissal in Victoria, you can ask it a workplace mediation and I need to know what the rules are about unfair dismissal in Victoria. And, you know, as a mediator, we're not giving advice, but if that's an issue where someone's saying things like that, it's valuable for us to have that background. But don't trust it, check the references. So Fair Work Ombudsman, I can go there and double check that this is the current act. There's different rules about the size of the employer, the definition. Actually, bullying is a better one.
Bullying with a Y.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Well, let's see what it'll do with my spelling. Bullying. It says, yeah, dumb thing. It says, yeah, I know what you mean. It's gone to a law firm's description. So it's probably good enough, but I wouldn't accept that just in case they're using out of date or they've found an old post.
Joanne, just on that point.
Yeah.
So what we're really saying is that I is a computer.
Yeah.
In my language.
Yeah.
Is a computer which is just has the ability to look at the whole of the internet and it pick everything out that relates to the words that you've put in.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the human ability to assimilate that or work out what to reject. So we have to proofread and work it out by asking more questions.
Absolutely. And then in the case of GTPs, or if you're using the Google one, GEMS or whatever they call them, you can put some filters around it so that it doesn't go to the whole internet. It tries to go to Australian internet, or you can put a little bit of filter around. In this case, we've put context around working as a mediator or working as an FDR practitioner, but it still goes to the internet. It's not just a defined data set. You can go beyond our scope, but it keeps some focus.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes, it does.
But again, it's not human. It can't evaluate that well, but it's pretty bloody good.
I agree.
It's wanting to pull. No, do you want me to pull a comparative table together for bullying in the various states? Because, as you know, one of the challenges we have in Australia is that we have a system where each state's got often slightly different but overlapping legislation. And now with the internet, we might be working with clients in various states. Daniel, looking at the various wills and estates, which legislation should I be referring to? My husband's been having some really interesting, obscure family law things with the other party died midway through a case, or another one where the courts accepted a matter way outside the period where they should have had leave to actually open the family law matter. So all sorts of things which allows him to research and find resources and strategies to use. So if you are also a lawyer, it can be useful. But again, check. You can get a beautiful case that it's made up to support what you're looking for. So if you're going to rely on something, you have to go to the case, back to the case law, back to the legislation is always my recommendation. Down the bottom, it's giving sources. So you can go to, always look for down here, and you can see what are these sources that it's used. And again, they've gone to the Fish and Wildlife Commission, who've obviously got a good article that it found was useful. So as far as the Fish and Lifestyle Commission people are concerned, okay, so that's gone through to Fair Work. That's useful because in workplace mediation, bullying is thrown around a lot. What's the repeated and unreasonable behaviour? What's the risk to work health and safety, so that we can have those conversations, because a person can easily be bullying but not recognise that's bullying behaviour because their life and work experience not that bad. You know, I'm not tipping anyone headfirst into a rubbish bin or things like that. So, you know, that's what, when that was done to me, that was bullying and no one did anything about it. We've all had clients like that, I think. I know I have.
Yes.
So really what I was hoping today is kind of whet your appetite for jumping in safely. The changes that have occurred in AI, the rate of change, the speed is, in my many decades of experience, unprecedented. It's certainly not something I think any of us can afford to ignore. There are and will be attempts to eliminate the human element in dispute resolution. There's been online dispute resolution, which is fully machine run for a number of years. Amazon and a lot of the big e-commerce organisations already do that. The vast majority of disputes are fully, completely run by AI. Those are the things that we need to be aware of. AI is, for the end user, generally infinitely much cheaper than us. So we need to think about, I suppose, be aware of it as a tool to perhaps improve our efficiency. I'm hopeful that we're, as mediators, a little bit more protected. I'm concerned about the impact it's going to have on the legal industry, particularly for baby lawyers, because a lot of the work that they used to do is now done so much cheaper and possibly better. How does that impact the, going through? Does anyone have any thoughts or ponderings or ideas around that?
That's a really interesting comment you make. I didn't realise that Amazon and Co had already started this sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I've been sitting back waiting to be told what you just told me.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen in most industries, I guess.
Yeah.
And the speed is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think, my view, in the end, for what it's worth, at the end of the day, is the human factor is very important, especially in relationship stuff that we deal with. So I think that there's some protection there, but we have to be mindful of it, understand how it works, and utilise it to our advantage.
Yeah.
And still be human beings and deal with people directly. It's a fascinating time, and let's see how we go. I've really enjoyed today because, I've only touched on it so far, and this has helped me get to the next step of thinking, and I'll be using it.
Excellent. And please share your feedback and insights as you do. Morty, what are your thoughts?
I think it's possibly the change in times and what we live in today as well. And it's important for me to keep abreast of what is happening in the AI arena, I guess, or forum. And like you mentioned too, it's going to be interesting in the legal arena as well, with the younger lawyers coming forward and being kind of replaced, I guess. But also, like you mentioned, being mindful about, if you're looking at case law, for example, make sure we go to the relevant resource. But ChatGPT is everywhere type thing. I know lots of people are accessing. I'm using Copilot at the moment as well. Yeah, so...
Absolutely. It's amazing what Copilot can do with a spreadsheet and getting information out of data.
Yeah. I think it's fabulous because you typed in the actual certificate 60I and issuing certificates, and the information's there because you have a bit of a lock on you in mediation. Go, okay, hang on a sec, I'll just type this in and up it comes, so we can refer to,
I think of it as its thinking aid, if we treat it like that, we still apply our professional judgment and we still check. So we don't want to get lazy with it because they're the dragons. What do you think, Lilika?
No, I mean, certainly everything you said. I do check. I use Copilot and ChatGPT, but mainly to refine the language.
Absolutely. Well, think about it for your first draft as well. This is what I'm, like tricky letters to clients. If you get a high conflict client that you get a 5-page email, how do I provide a brief, informative, friendly but firm response to this email? Take out the client information. That's easy enough to do. Just put the general gist of it. It'll stop us from reacting. Yeah.
We were from the era where the books were the only Yes. So now you have to compete with the younger generation.
Yeah, absolutely. If I wanted to know something, I would have to go to the library, hope that in the small room that was the library in my little tiny town had something about this thing I was interested in, and borrow the book and go home and try and find it. That's how old I am. But we need to engage with these tools because it's just a phenomenal rate of change. What do you think, Daniel? Are you going to jump in a bit more?
Yeah, I had a question in the back of my mind. Going through and doing that reflective sort of practice with the AI, I haven't brought up any AMDRAS standards in the CPD tracker.
Yeah.
And it's got structured peer-based reflection, and you can claim 7 hours. So I assume that reflects the allowed categories. So if you used this for an hour, for example, can you claim that as 1 hour of structured peer-based reflection or not? Or should I ask the AI?
Okay, let's ask it. Let's see.
I don't know if it is our peer.
It'll be our overlord soon. Oh, it thinks you can.
Oh, it does. I would have thought you couldn't, because again, I can't give any accurate description of AI, but picking up on what you guys were saying before, as I understand it, it's a computer that just sort of picks the statistically most likely next word in a sentence based on the prompt you've given it. So it's not actually it's just a statistical output of words.
But couldn't it be seen as research as well? Because you are researching.
Certainly claim it, and I'd love to bring this to my colleagues on the AMDRAS board.
It's saying that you can claim it as...
It's thinking it's peer-based reflection. I would think you could certainly use it for preparation for your peer-based reflection, and I'd encourage you to do that. Be regarded as a peer. Let's see. So, again, it still thinks I'm a peer.
They're giving the definition.
It's arguing for itself. Okay, so as far as verified, there's up to 5 hours of other things. I'd be inclined to look at quality reflection as under the other. You need to submit what it is and that sort of thing. If you feel the need, it must be verified.
Yeah, I think if it was genuine, like how you did before, I know it was made up, but if it was... you genuinely did a mediation and you generally had an issue that you wanted to reflect on it and were truthful and detailed with it, possibly. Not just mucking around just to see what it says in different examples. I'm mindful of the time. I didn't want to tie you up, send you off on another tangent.
I've just told it off for that as well. But I just tell it off every time it gets outdated. So RMABs, we're now called RAPs, and RTPs, so Recognised Accreditation Providers and Recognised Training Providers. That's the sort of stuff that's going to be pushing traditional approaches. At the moment, the AMDRAS board insists that training has to be face-to-face. It can be online, but it needs to be. But these sorts of things will continue to push the envelope over time, sooner or later. The use of AI in learning contexts is called adaptive education and is a rapidly growing multi-billion-dollar industry. This bit of content has a voice generated by AI in the video editing tool that I use. You might need evidence that you've reflected deeply with your AI coach. I'm glad you found it helpful, and I'm really hoping to see you diving in and thinking about different use cases. Just ask it. I want to do something. What's the best way? And it can guide you.
Really appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Jo. Joanna's great.
I hope you have enjoyed this abridged recording from a recent Mediation Institute webinar. If you would like to see more content from Mediation Institute, you can follow our YouTube channel. Search for Mediation Institute or follow us on LinkedIn. Our website is www.mediationinstitute.edu.au and either search for My AI or put in /My AI. Put a comment below to share your experience of AI as a mediator or lawyer.